When trust is broken, can love ever be the same again? The Peterson family was the embodiment of suburban bliss. John and Claire had been married for 20 years, raising 2 teenage children, Emily and Jake, in a picturesque house on Maple Street. John was a successful lawyer, and Claire managed a boutique that she had opened a few years ago. Their life seemed perfect, filled with family dinners, school events, and summer vacations. Yet, beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic life, a storm was brewing. It started innocently enough. John had always been dedicated to his work, often working long hours at the firm. Claire, supportive as always, took pride in her husband's success. But as the years passed, John's late nights became more frequent, and he grew distant. Claire, busy with her boutique and the children, didn't notice the subtle shifts at first. It wasn't until Emily mentioned that John seemed distracted even when he was home that Claire started to worry. One evening, as Claire was closing the boutique, she received a call from her friend, Lisa. Lisa worked at the same law firm as John and was known for her sharp intuition and blunt honesty. "Claire, can we talk?" Lisa's voice was urgent. "Sure, Lisa. What's up?" "I don't know how to say this, but I think you should know. I've seen John with someone else. It's a woman from the office. They've been spending a lot of time together." Claire's heart skipped a beat. She had never doubted John's loyalty, but Lisa's words planted a seed of doubt that she couldn't ignore. Trying to keep her voice steady, she asked, "Are you sure, Lisa? Maybe it's just work-related." "Claire, I wish it were, but it's not just business meetings. I've seen them at lunch and they seem close, too close." Claire hung up the phone, her mind racing. That night, she confronted John, hoping for reassurance. John, caught off guard, denied any wrongdoing. "Claire, it's nothing. She's just a colleague. We work together on some projects, that's all." But Claire couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Over the next few weeks, she noticed more signs. John's phone was always on silent, and he guarded it closely. He would often step outside to take calls, and his explanations grew increasingly vague. Determined to find the truth, Claire decided to investigate. She checked John's phone records and discovered numerous calls and messages to a number she didn't recognize. When she confronted John again, he finally confessed. "Okay, Claire, there is someone else. Her name is Megan. It started as a work thing, but it turned into more." Claire felt like the ground had been pulled out from under her. The man she had loved and trusted for 2 decades had betrayed her. She couldn't believe this was happening to their family. John tried to apologize, to explain that it had been a mistake, but the damage was done. Claire's trust in him was shattered. The news spread quickly through their small town, and soon everyone knew about the affair. Emily and Jake, both in their late teens, were devastated. Emily, a senior in high school, withdrew from her friends, while Jake, a sophomore, became angry and rebellious. Claire, trying to hold her family together, found it difficult to focus on her work at the boutique. Her mind was constantly racing, replaying the events over and over. She decided to take some time off to figure out what to do next. She sought solace in her friends and family, who supported her through this difficult time. John moved out of the house and stayed with a friend. He wanted to make things right, to earn Claire's forgiveness, but he knew it would be a long and difficult journey. He started seeing a therapist to understand why he had made such a terrible mistake and to work on his issues. As the weeks turned into months, Claire and John's separation took a toll on everyone. Emily and Jake struggled to cope with their emotions, and Claire found herself overwhelmed by the responsibilities of running the household and the boutique on her own. She realized she needed professional help and started seeing a therapist as well. The therapist helped Claire process her emotions and understand that John's affair was not her fault. Claire learned to set boundaries and focus on her own well-being. Slowly, she began to rebuild her confidence and regain a sense of control over her life. John, too, was making progress. His therapist helped him recognize the deep-seated issues that had led him to the affair. He realized that he had been using work as an escape from his problems rather than addressing them. John knew that if he ever wanted a chance at reconciliation with Claire, he had to change. One day, after months of therapy and self-reflection, John reached out to Claire. He wanted to talk, apologize sincerely, and explain the changes he was making in his life. Claire, though hesitant, agreed to meet him. They met at a quiet cafe, away from prying eyes. John looked different, more humble, more introspective. He began to speak, his voice filled with genuine remorse. "Claire, I know I've hurt you in ways I can't even begin to understand. I've been working hard to understand why I did what I did and to become a better person. I'm not asking for forgiveness yet. I just want you to know that I'm committed to changing." Claire listened, her emotions a mix of anger, sadness, and a glimmer of hope. She could see that John was sincere, but the wounds were still fresh. "John, I appreciate your honesty, but it's going to take time. I need to focus on myself and the kids right now. We're all still healing." John nodded, understanding the gravity of his actions. "I'll wait as long as it takes, Claire. I just want you to know that I'm here, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right." As the months passed, Claire and John continued to work on themselves individually. Claire found solace in her friends, who encouraged her to pursue new hobbies and interests. She took up painting, something she had always wanted to try, and found it to be a therapeutic outlet for her emotions. Emily and Jake also sought therapy to help them process their feelings. Emily slowly began to reconnect with her friends and focus on her college applications, while Jake channeled his anger into sports, finding a healthy way to release his frustration. John, meanwhile, continued to attend therapy and work on rebuilding his life. He distanced himself from Megan, who had left the law firm shortly after the affair was exposed. John focused on repairing his relationship with his children, attending their events, and being present in their lives. One evening, as Claire was painting in her studio, Emily came in and sat down beside her. "Mom, can we talk?" Claire set down her brush and turned to her daughter. "Of course, sweetie. What's on your mind?" Emily hesitated, then took a deep breath. "I've been thinking a lot about Dad. I know he hurt us, but I can see he's trying to change. Do you think there's any chance you two could ever get back together?" Claire sighed, her heart aching for her children. "Emily, I honestly don't know. What your father did was a huge betrayal, and it's going to take a lot of time to heal from that. But I'm not saying it's impossible. We're both working on ourselves, and only time will tell if we can rebuild what was broken." Emily nodded, her eyes filled with hope. "I just want our family to be whole again." Claire hugged her daughter, wishing she could take away her pain. "I know, sweetheart. We all do." As the year drew to a close, the Peterson family found themselves in a better place. They had faced their darkest days and come out stronger, each member growing in their own way. Claire and John continued to co-parent effectively, putting their children's needs first. One day, John asked Claire if they could go to a family therapy session together. He believed it would be beneficial for them to address their issues with a professional mediator. Claire agreed, seeing it as an opportunity to gain closure and possibly move forward. The family therapy sessions were intense and emotional. They discussed the affair, the impact it had on each of them, and their hopes for the future. The therapist helped them communicate openly and honestly, creating a safe space for everyone to express their feelings. Through these sessions, Claire and John began to rebuild their trust slowly. They started to see each other not just as a husband and wife, but as individuals who had made mistakes and were capable of change. They went on a few casual dates, testing the waters and rediscovering the love that had once brought them together. It wasn't an easy journey, and there were setbacks along the way. But with time, patience, and a lot of hard work, Claire and John found themselves at a crossroads. They had to decide whether to continue as a couple or to part ways amicably. One evening, after a particularly emotional therapy session, John and Claire took a walk in the park. The air was crisp, and the stars shone brightly above them. They sat on a bench, the silence between them comfortable. "Claire," John began, his voice steady, "I want you to know that whatever you decide, I'll respect it. I love you, and I want what's best for you and the kids." Claire looked at John, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. She had seen him change, seen him become a better man. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding. "John, I've thought a lot about us, about everything we've been through, and I believe in second chances, but we have to take it one day at a time." John's eyes filled with tears as he took Claire's hand. "Thank you, Claire. I promise I'll never take this second chance for granted." Their journey to rebuild their marriage was far from over, but they were committed to making it work. They continued with therapy, both individually and as a couple, and focused on rebuilding their trust and communication. Over time, the Peterson family found a new sense of normalcy. Emily went off to college, pursuing her dreams with renewed vigor, while Jake excelled in sports and academics. Claire's boutique flourished, and she continued to find joy in her painting. John, too, found a new sense of purpose. He became more involved in the community, volunteering at local charities and using his legal expertise to help those in need. He was determined to make amends for his past mistakes and to be the best husband and father he could be. The road to healing was long and challenging, but the Peterson family emerged stronger and more united. They learned that love and forgiveness were not easy, but they were worth fighting for. Through their journey, they discovered that even in the face of betrayal, it was possible to find redemption and rebuild a life filled with love, trust, and hope. Years later, as they celebrated their wedding anniversary surrounded by family and friends, John and Claire looked at each other with a deep understanding and appreciation for the journey they had taken. They had faced their darkest moments and come out on the other side, stronger and more in love than ever. Their story was a testament to the power of forgiveness, the importance of communication, and the resilience of the human spirit. The affair had broken them, but it had also allowed them to rebuild, grow, and create a future filled with hope and happiness. And in the end, that was the greatest victory of all.